Hello. Uh, Today we're gonna go through the rest of Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. Uh, we have, I think, chapter 8, 9, 10. Wait, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 6 chapters. Probably won't take that long. But I'm a yapaholic. I did write down a script. We'll see how well I follow it. One take as it is. So let's get started. Oh, also, new mic. No way. So that I can wear earbuds. I love earbuds. All right, well, let's get started. In Chapter 8, The Power of Empathy, the author looks into empathy. To refresh, the book defines empathy as the emptying of one's mind to fully listen with our whole being. Empathy is important because it makes you feel more comfortable with the other person. It makes you more comfortable because you kind of begin to understand their feelings and needs. It strips them down in a sense. You begin to see the reasons why they might need your help and what they need from you. There's so much more said by just listening to their feelings and needs because words just don't have the same feeling as actions. That doesn't mean you have to physically do things. Rather, it's important to see how you're present. Arguably, there's nothing more important than presence. Consider how someone shows up for you. Just being there, it's good, but how you are there matters so much too. Learn what they need. It's different person to person. Chapter 9. Nonviolent communication is not exclusive to external use. It's also essential in self-talk. Similar to the last author we summarized, Rosenberg is strongly against the use of the word should. Often we say, I should have done this. I should have done that. But we don't consider the what. The method through NVC is this. You list the action you have to do and reframe it as a choice. For example, a rough day at work, your boss scolds you. You think to yourself, oh, I should have never taken this job. But you took the job for a reason, right? Maybe money, approval, duty, something in between. Acknowledge and forgive yourself. Connect with your needs. When it comes to anger, it's tricky. Obviously in the actual situation, people don't think clearly. I don't, But it's a practice thing, You kind of just continue keeping this stuff in mind, and you'll get better at it. So here are the keys: don't conflate the reason with the stimulus. If you're mad at your friend for being late, why are you mad? Them being late is just the stimulus. If you didn't want them to come, them being late is clearly not the reason you're mad, right? So stop and take a breath. Consider the actual reason for your anger. For me, I'd be angry because I'd feel my personal need for respect and companionship were being disrespected, The next step is to connect with those needs, what actions need to be taken, and then express your feelings, tell your friend, you don't appreciate them being, for example, 30 minutes late. And it's just that idea, nothing is obvious unless it's stated. And even when it's stated, make sure they understand what you're saying. Leave no doubt, no room for interpretation, kind of thing. Protective use of force. This chapter was a little bit weird, but I'll still go over the parts I found relevant because this book is from 1999. First, fear of punishment leads to reductions in self-esteem. For example, a parent that constantly scolds their kid begins to overthink every little action or inaction in the fear of punishment. They stop believing in themselves and their ability to make choices. Consider a time that you began to second guess yourself because you were afraid of some sort of punishment from a relationship, a friendship, significant other, familial. Why did you second guess yourself? Was it that you were scared that you're gonna hurt them, kind of thing? The fear of that some form of repercussion, You can tell if something's punitive through the two questions that the book suggests. What is it you want them to do, and what should their reason be doing? If their reason is oh yeah, I'll praise them, or oh, because they should do it, then it's kind of punitive, right? The absence of a reward is still a punishment. You should want them to do it because it'd be nice, and that's that it would feel better, right? You would want someone to give you a gift because they want to, not because they feel obligated to. Circling back to the example of showing up on time, is it healthier for your friend to want to show up on time because they want to, or is it healthier for your friend to show up on time because they're scared that you're gonna yell at them, right? essentially you don't want to punish. And then the book also has like a little bit on like the use of force, but like realistically, is that gonna come up? I don't think so. Basically, you learn the situations. It's pretty intuitive. Like, if someone pulls a gun on you, like know what you got to do. I don't know. Uh, Next chapter, liberating ourselves and counseling others. Sometimes things that you get used to, you just chalk them up to how things are. But it's important to take occasional steps back and consider the things in your life. For example, when playing competitive games with friends, I didn't realize the amount of negative talk I would use. Like I got used to saying like, "Oh, I should have hit that. Oh, I can't do this. I'm wasting my time." But those words just build into my own negative thoughts. And at the end of the day, it's more important to like focus on what's next rather than what happened. Like if I die in the game, I can't like there's like a next round, right? Like it just made me enjoy the games more when I stopped talking down to myself. So cutting back on like the negative self-talk. One thing I never noticed was just how much like this it really does have like a good effect. Yeah, so like step back, re-examine things in your life, consider like what value each thing brings, focus on what you do next, not what happened. Don't cry over spilled milk. I mean, this is the last chapter, what goes into expressing appreciation. For NVC, the method is to express the action that contributed to your well-being, the need fulfilled, and the pleasurable feelings that are a result of the fulfillment of those needs. Remember that compliments are judgments. Use of appreciation should be used to celebrate, not to manipulate. So the strategy is basically you say what they did, how it made you feel, and what need of yours was met. Like, oh, you showed up to my party. I feel happy. You met my need of companionship. But you make it more human sounding, right? Because like no one talks like that. On the other end of things, when someone shows appreciation to you, don't let it get to you. But also don't be like, oh, it was nothing. It's bad for your self-esteem to just always devalue your own actions. Because if you have received appreciation, clearly you were worth appreciating. Yeah, find a sweet spot. And then one quote that I really like from this section was, anything worth doing is worth doing even if it's done poorly. The first book we looked over, they said, you can plan the perfect plan, but at the end of the day, if you don't even try, then, the plan is useless. It's better to like fail than to plan a perfect plan that isn't ever executed, right? Yeah, that wraps up Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. While I was writing this, I copied over like the slides from last week. I just realized that I wrote Michael Rosenberg, so sorry to the author. And yeah, the book pretty good. A lot of communication things I never really considered, especially with like empathy. Sometimes I guess you just really need to read it, and it makes you feel better. Like you just or points out things that you don't notice. Hope you got something out of this. Next up, we got Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller, which should be another 2-week kind of book. So, yeah, I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye.